Fancy wallpaper, fittings and fixtures aren't often the matters which land ministers, let alone prime ministers, in trouble. But then, this imbroglio isn't really about wallpaper or furniture or designers. It's about pivotal democratic questions, about transparency, about law, whether someone might have a financial hold on the Prime Minister, and about knowing whether they might, about potential corruption or even the perception of corruption. And it is the Electoral Commission which is in charge of investigating whether any rules, any laws have been broken in regards to the Downing Street flat refurbishment. This morning they confirmed they will be investigating, saying, "We are now satisfied that there are reasonable grounds to suspect that an offence or offences may have occurred. We will therefore continue this work as a formal investigation to establish whether this is the case."
Are you worried about the investigation, Prime Minister?
That statement came less than an hour before Prime Minister's questions.
Who initially paid for the redecoration of his Downing Street flat?
Boris Johnson refused to answer whether he made the initial payment for his flat refurbishment or whether someone else did, clinging resolutely to one form of words.
As for the latest stuff that he's bringing up, he should know that I paid for Downing Street refurbishment personally. Mr. Speaker, I've given him the answer, and the answer is I have covered the costs, and I think I've answered this question several times now. And the answer is that I have covered the costs.
The central question is whether a donation or loan was given for the refurbishment, whether that was a proper use of party money, and whether it was declared properly.
The responsibility lies on the recipient of the donation or the loan. So it can be either a party or an individual.
Why is it the case that it really does matter?
It's not about wallpaper, it's about transparency and openness. And so the public is entitled to know who's paying whom in politics. This is not a trivial matter or just a convention or just a social matter. These are legal rules, and disobeying them by people in positions of great power and importance is a serious matter, whatever they are.
So where might the money have come from? It's been reported in the Daily Mail that Lord Brownlow is the man who provided the initial donation to the Conservative Party and had later been lined up to be chairman of the Downing Street Trust, which never got off the ground. He's a Tory donor of long standing. He was appointed to the Lords by Theresa May and an investor in Samantha Cameron's fashion business. But in terms of those under scrutiny, it won't just be the Prime Minister. Principal in the Commission's line of sight would be Tory co-chairman Amanda Milling and Ben Elliott. And even if the Electoral Commission decides that no wrongdoing has been committed, the stonewalling is itself a problem. The Ministerial Code does make it clear that ministers must ensure that not only is there no conflict of interest, but there is no perception of a conflict of interest.
I think that's the really important thing to bear in mind here. Even if, at the end of the day, the Electoral Commission finds that no law has been broken, no rule has been broken, if it were the case that a donor gave money to the Conservative Party, which it subsequently loaned to Boris Johnson, that didn't break any law to do that, but he was aware of who had given that money that he was then being able to make use of, surely that is still a conflict of interest and might be perceived as such, and that really is the damaging thing.
And then there was this, when the Prime Minister was asked on the record whether he did make the comment about bodies piling up. He said this:
"No, Mr. Speaker."
But note Starmer's satisfaction at the end.
I'll leave it there for now. Turning to another issue, there'll be further on this. There'll be further on this, believe you me.
Perhaps it was just a down payment on a potential political future. Starmer making sure that he has what he needs lest a recording should emerge or something else should happen in the meantime. But there did seem something rather deliberate in how Starmer spoke, and certainly in how he reacted. A reaction which may have caused a little bit of disquiet, a little bit of nervousness inside Number 10. But either way, today seemed like a day of which we don't have many. A day when the laws of political gravity, which Boris Johnson so often defies, if not quite caught up with him, then certainly began to exert an almighty gravitational pull. As he sits in the Downing Street flat tonight, Boris Johnson can admire his new decor. He and we are now only too aware of its price. He may be about to discover its cost.